Hello, and welcome
to another episode
of the world famous
Lume
Plotters. So, what is on your wrist? Let's get through it.
Let's get through it already.
I'm already.
Well, I went
annoyed.
down. I had this kind of like thing. Once again, I took the SBGM 221 and I put it in a box.
Oh,
and the box this time lasted. I took it to the storage unit, put it down, went back, and then said, no, and ran back and got it and put it back. So it lasted about a minute this time. Last time I didn't even get to the storage unit. So now I also didn't. And my wife said, no, you shouldn't sell it. So I'm like, okay, fine. But this led me to, I changed straps on everything, everything. So I have now my Speedy, my trusty Speedmaster, and I had it on a black NATO before, and I don't know how well you can see that, but now it is on my gray NATO, and I'm trying to see if I like the gray or the black better.
So is this the gray NATO?
It is the gray NATO,
actually
the
gray NATO from the gray NATO podcast.
Gray NATO.
Yeah.
However, I shouldn't tell them this though. I have extra buckles, and I have removed their buckle that says TGN, and I put on a plain buckle.
Wow, sacrilege!
Yes, it is. So hopefully James Stacy and what's his name, the author Jason Heaton does
Stacey?
not. No, James Stacy and Jason Heaton.
All right, okay.
Yeah, right. And they won't haunt me in my sleep.
Right. No, I think they're okay with that because, everybody is special, especially in the watch world. So I am wearing my new Tudor Ranger.
I love it. I'm a huge fan.
And I mean, it's, I did a Martin with this, right? I did because it's my second time I own the same watch. Yeah, I must say, it is just a lovely watch, especially the wearing comfort. Everything is just so perfect. It's everything is good. The weight is great. The size is fantastic. The strap doesn't, the bracelet doesn't have full rivets. It's very basic, boring, but cool. No, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good looking watch. And frankly, when we were there at Dubai Mall and they had them in 36 millimeters in white, and I was like, should I have just bought one?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have the money.
I was so tempted as well with the white one. Yeah, just because I don't have a white dial watch, right? So I thought,
I kind of do, but not sports watch.
What do I have?
I have two white dial, but dress watches, right?
Well, I just realized I also have a white dial watch, which is my Grand Seiko GMT high beat.
Not the same.
Yes, exactly. Not the same. Yeah. So,
but how much cheaper was this than buying the
more
white
than 30%?
Exactly. Is it worth it for the same watch, the different dial color? I don't know. Nah. Does this one have T-Fit?
Yep.
Yeah, it does still.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the first ones with T-Fit, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And it was because it was, I think, a bit. It has everything. It has the chronometer certified movement. It's not Meta certified, but it does have the in-house movement. It's the cheapest, I think, entrance into in-house movements from the Tudor catalog. The Ranger.
It is, which is surprising because it doesn't say chronometer on the dial.
It doesn't say anywhere, not even on the case back or anything. It doesn't say chronometer anywhere. Yeah.
Which I thought that it wasn't chronometer spec, and then we asked, and it is.
Yeah, and it says so on the website as well, and
on the literature,
in the press material. It has the T-Fit. It's really lovely. It's comfortable, and I love it. Yeah. So you're a gray NATO. I am the boring Ranger. So
just out of curiosity here, like I was in the mic, thinking when they used to hand out gray NATOs or used to order gray NATOs, right? They would go on to dive watches. That's what we kind of always associate gray NATOs with. But if you are in another branch of the military, let's say if you were a pilot, you would still be putting your watches on gray NATOs, right? But then you'd be putting your chronographs on gray NATOs. So it's still, the Speedy is still at home on a gray NATO, I feel. I don't know.
So are you finding justification to have a Speedy on a NATO? You don't
No, not on NATO, because I think a colored NATO, by the time colors came out, they were much more prevalent, and you'd put whatever you wanted to on a gray NATO or a colored NATO. But a gray NATO was kind of like always the dive watch one, and that's what I'm trying to justify, and having a non-dive watch on a gray NATO.
Okay, I see. I see. So I must admit that I think when you look at these Speedmasters on the website of the normal Moonwatch, whatever, and you see when you select one and you ask, hey, on the bottom of the website they always have, you can just spruce it up with a different strap. There are 63 NATO straps to choose from for the Speedmaster Moonwatch, and 25 two-piece straps. So that shows you already where they think you might go. And when you go to this two-piece straps, the 25 of them, you have one crook leather, when a normal leather, and then you already get into black fabric, then rubber, then the astronaut one, right? Also a Velcro thing, right?
I had that one.
And the two-piece Speedmaster Velcro strap. It's cool.
Yeah, I had it, and I bought it from eBay for dirt cheap. I think I paid $80 for it, and it's basically the exact same strap as the Moon Swatch strap, but significantly nicer.
I think it's cool when you have this watch, when you have a Speedmaster. At some stage I need a Speedmaster, and at some stage I will have also the NASA strap. And did you know that they also now offer the mesh strap for all of their watches?
They offer, or you can buy?
You can buy. I mean,
yes, of course you can buy.
Not on. It's not delivered on it, but you can buy it aftermarket.
Yes.
But directly from the stainless steel mesh bracelet. So
you can order straps from them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've been doing that for ages.
I know, but I didn't know that they have a mesh bracelet that fits on the Speedmaster. So
what do you mean? The mesh bracelets are all what's it called? They're all straight ends, straight lugged.
Yeah, but I didn't know that they're just.
I had the mesh bracelet on my Speedmaster.
Right.
I've had everything on my Speedmaster. Okay. All I wanted to do was find the right strap, right bracelet, and I bought the mesh bracelet. It sucked. I didn't like it. Then I ended up buying the astronaut one. That sucked. I didn't like it, and then I'm back to a NATO strap again.
So I'm after looking at so many Omega watches, also during Dubai Watch Week, when we went to the launch from the new Planet Ocean and all of these things, and I looked at so many Omega watches, I felt like, I really want an Omega watch back in my collection, right? And I looked at these Aquaterras, because there are some Aquaterras, the new one with the lacquered dial, right? The black one. I thought, wow, this is so cool, right? And then I saw on the auction that ends this weekend, there is a Planet Ocean 39 millimeters.
Yeah.
The Planet Ocean 600 meters. And it also has this lacquered black, and it's not lacquered, it's a ceramic dial, right? Not lacquered dial. But it's also shiny. And I thought, maybe I should get that, because there's nobody bidding on it at the moment, right? So I was wondering. So maybe I bid on it, because right now
I didn't see that one. I looked through the auctions, but I did not see that specific one.
There's a lot on the auction. There's a lot of interesting things, but some are very expensive. Some are actually quite good deals at the moment, at least. So let's see. I might bid on this. But I really like this black, this pure black.
I remember what I liked. There was a vintage Oyster Perpetual 34. That I liked, and it was like super vintage.
Right. Very, very old.
But once again, I don't trust TP.
Well, it is an auction, so you never know, right? How much of authentication.
It's like really patinaed, and it's got a.
So we have to take this into consideration. We do trust Timepiece 360 with authentications. Yes. If it comes to very old vintage, I think it's very hard to find somebody who really, really, really knows what they are talking about.
They need to be very, very
that is
experts.
And we are both also no experts in that regard. So you rely on somebody who's really a vintage expert. And there are not so many around, real vintage experts.
Hassan Sharif, I believe Hassan Sharif or Hassan Ashraf from Time. But let me see what this is. Hassan, he is a true vintage Rolex. Yeah. It's all he deals with. Time Treasury out of Dubai.
Yeah, I have.
And he's really good.
If it comes to Rolex, I have my friend Mark, who is also an absolute legend. He knows everything. I mean, if you want, you can show him a whatever handset and he will tell you which watch it was on. I mean, this guy's crazy. He knows really so much. If it comes to vintage, I would always ask him first to say, hey, does it make sense? And he will tell you, oh, service dial, ding ding, hands and exchanged, blah, blah, painted here, and all of these.
Send him this one. See what he says.
Yeah, good test.
Yeah, send him the link. Yes, I found your Seamaster Planet Ocean. It's GMT.
No, not this one. The other one. There's another one.
The other one. There's another one. Yes, there's on the bracelet.
Because the GMT was also bigger.
It is a pretty watch. It is a very nice watch.
Yeah.
39 millimeter. It's a good.
It's 14 and a half big, but it does
39.5 mm.
Yeah, exactly.
No warranty card, no papers. And it is 7,900 dirhams starting price, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, like, now for the first bit, it would make sense. It's like comes to 9,000 something.
But then after that, I wouldn't deal with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Maybe I'll just put in the first bit. Let's see. Okay, so
what's the topic for today?
Today the topic is succession. No, sorry. No, what is the topic? The topic is
you don't even know what the
0
topic
points,
is.
Ralph.
No, the topic is traditional handworking versus modern methods.
Yeah.
So today we have an interview for you.
Yeah.
It's an interview with whom?
Kari Voutilainen. So
yes,
I'll tell you a bit about his biography, but you wanted to talk about the topic first?
Yeah, so basically as I mentioned, our goal was to have these interviews and we pair them up with our discussion of something related to these people. And Kari Voutilainen is one of the kind of bastions of traditional handworking. He makes watches, dials, everything traditionally by hand in very low quantities. And But nowadays, we see a lot of these traditional styles, guilloche, enameling, and they're big companies trying to kind of not mimic, but mimic. Even mimic, we can use the word.
Yeah.
They're trying to do the same thing, but with technology. And the question is, which is better and why? And both have their pros and cons, so we can't just say, old ones are better. Both will have advantages and disadvantages, so we'll talk through those. That's the plan for today. But first, Ralph will give you a little intro about Monsieur Kari Voutilainen, although he's not French. He's very much
Kari Voutilainen. Yeah, he is born in 1962 in Finland, in Rovaniemi, and he's an independent master watchmaker who's of course now based in Switzerland.
He is considered one of the last true living watchmaking legends.
He's like the foremost living artisan in horologerie, blending traditional craftsmanship with artistic innovation. So that's basically the shortest way you can put it, right? So he graduated from the Finnish School of Watchmaking in 1986 and then went to Vostep in Switzerland and spent a decade at Parmigiani, restoring rare and complex timepieces. And there is a pattern there, right? So if
I'm not mistaken, he was not restoring he was restoring clocks, right?
As well. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Timepieces generally for nearly 10 years. And we have a lot of these master watchmakers from, Roger Smith to Kari Voutilainen to Parmigiani to others who have all started with restoring old watches, because then I think you get exposed to so much of this old craftsmanship and you get the inspiration from it, because you see with your own eyes and hands basically what worked well and what lasted and what didn't, right? So it's really And that's, I think, Philippe Dufour has, I think, done the same thing. And that's how he basically came up with this. I'm building a watch that should last forever, right? So it's not just a few decades or generations, but forever, because I will make sure that the parts that are usually the ones that are wearing out are so good that they will need minimal exchange, if at all. Yeah, so he did this, and then he founded his, he basically worked with Urban Jürgensen, right? And then eventually, in 2021, he bought the brand Urban Jürgensen and became the CEO of Urban Jürgensen. It's so funny when some people started with that, right? With the brand, and then eventually they buy the brand. I think this is
go back, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So yeah, he's Finnish. I think the precision and all of the stuff from Finland with the heritage from Swiss watchmaking and the artistry that he's applying. That's basically all of this stuff. I mean, he has worked with all of the big ones, has won, of course, the Grand Prix de Horlogerie de Genève 10 times. So talk about, winning the Oscars 10 times. So it is just incredible of what he has done. And I think he also did a lot to preserve the traditional guilloche work, right? Because that's also something he's very into, right? With his dial making factory. And he's explaining something, and this is a bit of a foreshadowing of what's happening in the interview. He's telling us a couple of things about his dial company that he has and how little he actually checks it, what they're actually doing. He's just checking the quality. That's for him the most important thing, and the one thing he looks after, the quality. But what they do, which designs, what other things, he doesn't mind.
Which we talk about this in the interview as well, because this is one of the things that I couldn't understand. I'm like, how do you just let them do their own thing and without any input on style, stylistically? But he's like, no, once you hire the right people, you trust them.
Yeah. I think it's
I've never gotten to that point in my life.
No, I think it's design philosophy can be also summarized in like hand guilloche, enamel dials, very, very unique movement.
I think he mentions this, right? He says design is subjective, but quality is not.
Yeah, 100%.
So quality has to be up to standard.
Yeah. So so we have hand finished enamel, guilloche, painted dials, unique movement architectures, then very elegant case and movement finishing, of course. I mean, if you buy a Kari Voutilainen watch, or if you buy anything that is where Kari Voutilainen has collaborated with, you can make sure it's going to be a hit. Even from watches, Schwartz Etienne, for example, is a brand that hardly anybody knows anymore. They were quite big for a while, but nobody knows about them anymore. But they did a collaboration. They have the Schwartz Etienne Roma, which is a fantastic watch. But then they did a collaboration with Kari Voutilainen. And boom, this watch brand was catapulted back into the limelight. I'm not so sure they stayed there, but with that collaboration, with the movements being finished by Kari Voutilainen and the dial being made by Kari Voutilainen, boom, it was amazing how much success they had. And these watches still go for a lot on the secondary market. So it's just incredible sometimes of how one man has such an influence, right? And his design philosophy. And I think that's enough about his biography. You can read it up yourself. It's obviously available on the internet, but he did an absolutely crazy stuff with his decimal minute repeaters and his tourbillon creations, multi-barrel movements, and what have you. I mean, he's really done crazy stuff. So
exactly. Now, so the question becomes, he does a lot of these things manually, and I always give this example with the Reverso, which I was wearing the Reverso in this interview, by the way, and he mentioned that he bought a Reverso for his wife, and that he likes the Reverso. But there, in my mind, there's two different paths. And there was a juncture in time when the Reverso changed, and that was fairly recently when they launched these Reverso Tribute models. I have the classic Reverso, and then these tributes came, and they changed a lot of stuff from handwork to to whatever you want to call it.
CNC machines.
Yeah.
Uniformity.
One example is mine has the perlage on the back of the case.
Yeah.
That is done by hand. And they replaced this with laser engravings on the tribute models. Mine has a hand guilloche dial, which they replaced with a flat dial now. So they obviously did a lot of things where they removed the handwork from it, or some aspects of the handwork.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at, and by the way, this is another thing. I asked them specifically about engravings. And they said the engravings they would do on the monoface on the back of the case back would be done by laser now. And at that point, I was like, I don't want it. If it's not done by hand, I have no interest in it. And this is the question, right? I know for a fact, if it was done by a laser, it's gonna be done better than if it was done by hand, right?
That depends. I mean, there's two things to it. So, for example, if you want the tighter tolerances these days, right, you do need still handwork. But it's very, very, because, basically you file it off very, very little until it exactly fits, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of these things where you sometimes have very, very tough work on your hands, basically, because you literally, if you do basic handwork, of course it's not so precise, but and you have the uniformity with a CNC machine. But if you want the tightest tolerances, the best finished, let's say, wheels, you have to hand finish them.
Yes.
So there is still an advantage to it. But the problem is the costs of a good or very good CNC machined whatever wheel versus a hand finished one is just exploding, of course. I mean, there's absolutely...
It is.
That's the problem.
Huge differences. So, and this is one thing that let's look at Grand Seiko, where almost everything is hand done. And I just cannot fathom the prices Grand Seikos are going for. How cheap they are, relatively speaking.
Yes, absolutely.
With fully handmade movements and hand polished cases and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the Roger Smith, one of the Roger Smith watchmakers, and he told me, oh, yes, I was wearing my Grand Seiko at that time. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's very hard to black polish these bridges. And I pulled up my coffee. He was like, let's not talk about Grand Seiko, he said.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, this is these other things. And in the interview with Roger Smith, we will discuss it as well, because I was always under the same impression when you ask somebody, it's like, hey, Louis Breguet, for example, he used the most advanced timekeeping equipment and materials he could find, right?
Oh, yeah. This is the opposite of what we're saying, right? What would he use today, right?
Would he use a silicon escapement, for example? Because that's for us, it's like, that's the big question, because we have so many collectors who say, like, if it has a silicon escapement, I'm not taking it.
And let me interject. You're not hand making a silicon escapement. That's for goddamn certain.
Oh, yeah,
right?
100%.
You're not
you can't. Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
So by definition, you have to use technology. Yes, you could make a traditional metal stainless steel mainspring or something, right? You're not making a silicone hairspring. It's not going to happen.
See the mainsprings, for example, there's like 10 companies or 12 companies in the world that make mainsprings. That's it, right? So in the end, there is not so many who do it, right? One of them is Moser, for example, with precision engineering, and some others. But you can repair them, right? Or you can fix them to a certain extent, a mainspring as well, if it's bent or anything. You can't do that with silicon. Silicon is something you always need a new one if something is broken on it. So there's no way of fixing anything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of these traditionalists, let's say, saying, okay, this is something that is a throwaway item. It's very precise. It's very cool. It's very fantastic. It does all of these things. It's magnetic and all of these good things, but it doesn't have the longevity aspect of a watch.
You cannot fix it.
Yeah, because everything else can be sort of fixed or replaced with something you can make by hand. Silicon you cannot, right? It's impossible. So I don't know. It's a big discussion, and I think this is what's so interesting to hear Kari's take on this and what he says about that. Because uniformity is one thing, but do you want uniformity, or do you want the wabi-sabi, right? The Japanese, sometimes the joy of not being perfect.
Being perfect. This is sprezzatura in Italian, right? The idea that you're working hard to look like you're not put together, right? Kind of like you're having your
isn't sprezzatura, so I heard from an Italian, the way that you are, let's say, effortlessly graceful, but in a way that you are not looking like you care. That's the difference.
Correct, There's effortlessly. So essentially the idea that, you have your sleeves rolled up.
Yes.
In a way that looks like you just rolled them up after you came out of your office to work on your Ferrari, right? So to speak. But these guys spend 15 minutes rolling up his sleeves to get it just right. But then the whole purpose of this is to look like you didn't spend time doing this.
Yeah, but it just looks, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the idea here.
Strategic imperfection, right? Sprinkled in just to have some intentional incongruity or something, if you want to call it.
And we can go into this. How many Rolexes have you had with quote unquote issues like this, right? They were slightly off something, and it shows you that there's still hand done parts on these Rolexes.
Hand assembled, at least, right? To a certain
the
extent,
Cyclops goes on by hand. That's why they're always never aligned. If you put a ruler to the flat part of your Cyclops, and then the ruler will go across the watch, you will see the angle that the Cyclops is sitting at. And it's never perfectly between the 3 and the 9.
Okay.
It's always just a little bit off. And that really bugged the hell out of me when it came to these. I had one that was so bad that I actually returned the watch. That was back when subs were readily available.
Right.
I had a sub date that I returned.
Yeah, so I think coming back to Kari and his interview, we were, Kari is more of a traditionalist, right? Especially if it comes to craftsmanship. And of course, benefits and pros and cons are, of course, the extreme high price is the con of this artisanal quality you get, which is a pro. But the price is just hard. Consistency is also something that you might want or not want, because look at these Grand Seikos, right? The snowflakes, for example. Every single snowflake dial looks exactly the same.
Which in that case, I always wanted them to be different.
I thought so too. Like snowflakes themselves are always different, yeah?
And this reminds me of a lot of the other dials that are always different. They change as it goes. For instance, the Oris, they had the trash dial.
Yeah.
So the Oris trash dial, or whatever, they got a bunch of trash from the sea and they pulled it out and made a dial out of it. The plastics, they're all different, right? Same thing, I guess, with the Rolex Celebration dial would have been nice if they were all different as well.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, with Rolex, I think my wife has the Palm dial, 36. Datejust, and it's of course it's made by ophthalmologic lasers. So they use laser from the eye doctors, basically, where they use this for operations on your eyes, and they use
for LASIK surgeries.
Exactly, and they use that to actually make this very precise laser engravings on dials. So they're always the same. They will always look exactly the same. So if there is anything slightly off, then it will probably be sorted out.
Thrown. Yeah. And this is kind of like the issue is I do appreciate handicraft and the differences that comes from handicraft, right? For instance, not being the same and knowing that your dial is going to be unique to the dial next to you. That is super cool.
Or just knowing that one person has built this watch from start to finish, for example, right? Like Roger Smith does, and probably Kari Voutilainen's atelier does the same thing. So you basically have one person who at some stage, after a couple of months of very hard work, puts in the escapement. And for the first time, this little thing comes to life. And he basically gave life or birth to this watch, right? So this is like his baby, and it starts to live. It starts to live on itself. It just starts to beat. And this is something that I think is so, I know it's completely metaphysical, but it's something very special.
It is
better than somebody coming from a gets his first push from a robot somewhere.
I agree. So with that being said, let's take a listen to Kari Voutilainen talk about how he goes about dealing with making his watches. And we hope you enjoy it, and we'll hear you, see you, talk to you next week.
Enjoy the now following interview. Bye-bye.
Hello, and welcome to the Lume Plotters podcast. Today with a very, very special guest, Kari Voutilainen, with, of course, the Voutilainen brand and so many other things. Mr. Voutilainen, thank you so much for spending time with us. And
it's a pleasure.
We have heard a lot of stories about you this morning already. We have
very good stories.
Very good stories.
Yeah, okay.
You started working for Urban Jürgensen.
Yes.
And now you bought the Urban Jürgensen brand.
So I'm part of it. So
or you invested into it.
So I'm part of it.
Yeah. So how does it feel to come back to a brand where you started, have your own brand, and now this brand is part of your ecosystem?
So 1996, I started to work to Urban Jürgensen on my free time. Peter Baumberger, who was the owner at that time, and he was a true gentleman in the way. He had a very good taste for the designs. And I started to work, and I did restorations, after-sale service. I made parts for the Perpetual calendar, assembling them. I did some unique pieces. And then from the 2000, I made the prototypes. So there was a movement which was developed by Cronod, because he noticed that he can't continue with this movements made by Frederick Piquet and Lemania, because both companies, they was bought by Swatch, and there was not really any more these movements available, high-end movements, and so he was afraid, and then he started this construction. So almost during 8 years we were doing the prototyping for them. So all these models, and then he passed away 2010 suddenly, and then the company had several changes.
Yeah.
And then what happened that to relaunch the company. So I was also excited to be part of that. So the investors the family who bought it, they asked me that if I would be part of that to do things. So for me it was interesting and challenging also to create a collection, so aesthetically, because I thought that the only way to do something which makes sense is to start from the white paper and do the collection and the design, which is not a copy-paste for something, first of all, that it has its own identity and so on. And also the movement, which is in-house movement. So we did develop 3 different calibers, and it's not easy either to do that. There's a relation between the past and the future, so that it's like a timeless, but you can see that it's a Jürgensen caliber. So that was, so we have that anniversary model, the Tourbillon, which is inspired from the pocket watch, which was made, the Bosch was made by Derek Pratt, and actually we did finish the watch. So that oval pocket watch, which was sold into auctions.
Is this the famous oval Tourbillon?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
So the wristwatch was inspired from that. Okay. So the layout, it's different because the pocket watch is oval, but the wristwatch, it's more difficult to do oval.
Yeah.
So the break rendonable, it's beautiful, and it works on that. But then to do like a more masculine, it's more difficult. So that's why the movement is round, the case is round, and but it has same idea as the flying barrel, flying tourbillon, and then just the one bar in the middle, which is holding the center wheel. And then technical challenge is that the gauge has constant force mechanism, and that's sort of difficult because there's no written information how you do, which sort of tolerances and how you set up all these things. And the same for the barrel. It's a flying barrel. There's no written information.
So you had no idea about how much torque you could use or how much it needs, or
we could imagine. A little bit like this.
Well, somebody like you can imagine. We
have no idea.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So anyway,
that's where the experience comes in.
So, and that has been a nice journey in the way to create these calibers.
Oh, fantastic! So you there's one point I wanna just jump into when you're saying that this you obviously wanted to have the Urban Jürgensen DNA in these movements as well, which can be a limiting factor for some people. They're saying like, oh, that's limiting me in making things in that things. On the other hand, it's a challenge, of course.
Yes.
Which is probably something you would enjoy to have.
The challenge.
Yeah. To say, okay, we need to work in these limitations or this framework of it. Yeah.
I feel that today there's too much copy-paste. For instance, when you're looking cars today, you are really difficult to say that when you're looking those some Lexus models or Nissan and so on, you have to look twice what car it is. They're the same. The same type of shape.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Chinese aren't helping with this either.
No.
The Chinese are copying everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I personally find it's a sort of a lack of imagination, this copy world.
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking that we really must do something which has a strong identity.
Yeah.
Which is not copy paste. And my own creations for our watch is the same. That I'm not on the, for instance, personally, I don't have Instagram accounts. I'm not on the Facebook. I'm out of the social media completely.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And at the same time that I have that dial factory, which is just very close to my workshop where we are making watches. Just a few minutes by car. And I go to the dial factory as a customer.
Okay.
Even I'm the owner, but I never go to the workshop, like, what you're doing and what you're doing. And I just go as a customer with our stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
I just look at the numbers and on the commercial side what's happening, but I never go to see the dials and what you're doing and this and that.
Okay.
I never go to the customer meetings. So the company runs, and I do that purposely because I want to keep my head free.
So you don't want to know about limitations to a certain extent. You want to be your vision not affected by anything. You're saying like, this is what I want.
Yes.
And then see how we can.
Yeah. So I'm working like that. So so I don't know what they are doing. I know the customers. I know the bills. That's it. But I don't know. Sometimes happens that people are saying, that's your dial. Oh, that's nice.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Showing me. So, but that's, I do it purposely because like that, I'm not influenced by something.
Yeah, because you're already starting to limit yourself in your expression before even knowing what you can and cannot.
2 years ago, we were interviewing Ming, and he mentioned that you commented on his watch
He commented on his watch, and he said this exactly. It's your dial. So this is something that happens often. You see something, oh, that's nice, but it actually was from your dial factory.
Yeah, exactly. But so I do it purposely because so easily you get influenced, and then it's a problem that you go in this, and then you start to have seen commercial. That's nice, but I see another way around that today my design language has been not copied, but people are following that.
Yeah, inspired.
Inspired.
Sometimes it's a cheap way of saying copying, but sometimes it's
So let me ask this: who are you inspired by?
I like the work what has been done in like Abraham Le Breguet.
I can see the influence of this in your work.
I like that sort of a way of working because I have been able to restore some of his watches, and it's incredible that technically big things, but you find watches that after 200 years there's no wear.
Wow.
And you start to think that how it's possible, for instance. And so that's interesting and what I personally enjoy to see and think at why. And then another thing what inspires me, I like architecture, the nature, and also when you look at vintage cars, for instance, you have these fluid forms. So I'm not really fan of these
hard angles and squares.
Today it's too much.
So I'm wearing the wrong watch for you then. There's nothing but.
No, but
this is not hard.
No, that's an iconic watch. I think it's for me it's the most beautiful look what exists.
Yeah, that's
good.
Yeah. I bought one to my wife for his birthday when I was a long time ago.
Yeah,
but I think it's still beautiful. Black dial, 2 hands.
Yeah,
so simple, but it's really elegant on the wrist.
And you inspired by architecture, so they have also
this is Art
Deco styles.
We're talking about the reverso for those listening.
Yeah. So I like that, and also so this. I mean, those forms, I'm inspired about that. And then also that you have architecture. Sometimes you have designs. And then the nature is interesting also, that when you see the flowers and you start to think colors. You have a yellow and you have a green leaves and you have the color tones. And sometimes those things are talking to me that, that fits together.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't think, and then you have some very subtle tones.
Yeah.
That like a brown is difficult color, the gray is difficult color. But so
many shades.
But some shades they are beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it goes a bit off. It's.
It's a fine line of being just right and being amiss.
Yeah, exactly.
You have been pretty famous for also doing collaborations with other brands, helping other brands sometimes with your beautiful dials or just making other collaborations there. How much do you benefit from that from a company perspective? And how much does it help the other brands? Is this a win-win for both? Do you see that as marketing as well?
Yeah, so there are two types of collaborations. The collaborations which are really done. So, for instance, with Max Busser, MBF, so that has been called because I have been doing things by myself, or with Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Because we made the movement.
Yeah.
Or which was with the Betun, only watch. That was a collaboration that we made half of the movement, and then another half.
Excellent, yeah, fantastic.
And it was one barrel was running the both.
Wow!
So that was these are the collaborations. I mean, the real collaborations.
Yeah.
And then people are confusing that the dial. So as I told previously, I'm not involved at all. But people, they say that it's a Kari dial. But I'm not involved. And that's what we are working today.
Yeah.
In our workshop, that we are trying to clarify the communication. And that's also why I don't go any customer meetings. And then we have the company doing engine turning.
Yeah.
So it's my colleague Angelique Singele. She's our managing director actually for the watches and for the engine turning company.
Yeah.
So she has been running our company already 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the engine turning, so we did that already for many years for a couple of my colleagues.
Yeah.
But today, it's Angelique. She's taking care of that. So I never go to the customer meetings. So I'm because what I would like to do is that those companies could work without that my name is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a.
But is there ever anything that you look at from your dial company, for instance, you said, "Oof, I wouldn't have done that," or do you generally see eye to eye with everything that's happening in the dial manufacturer?
No, there are. It's rather the way of working, which I'm picky that we are trying to do the quality. That's so. Of course, design is one thing. So we like it or we don't like it, but it's also the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And the values what we have. So we are trying to keep it small, and that also that gives a service for independence and or even bigger companies. We have if you are looking on the website, there are big groups also our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Even Cartier has Cartier dials.
Cartier?
Yes. There wasn't the Cartier with the FP Joint movement, the Tonda monopusher. There was a version, I thought, back in the early 2000s with a.
I don't know that.
I thought it was a Cartier dial.
So.
Well, anyway, but that's so.
You have Louis Vuitton as the current collaboration or which is fantastic. I mean, what Louis Vuitton is doing at the moment with high-end watchmaking is just fantastic.
Yes.
To see how really they are getting into the deep end of it. Really want to preserve.
Fabrique du temps. It's they're doing really good job.
And it's good to see a very public or very open luxury company, very big conglomerate being so focused on making contributions to this classical watchmaking as well, which I find fascinating. If you could have 2 more questions, and I think we're already out of time, unfortunately. If you could choose a collaboration outside the watch world, maybe you're into cars or other, which brand would that be? If you could just say, "Oh, I would love to collaborate with a brand outside of the watch world," and this would be it. That would be.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. But,
putting him on the spot.
Sorry, I just thought that maybe there's, sometimes inspiration comes from very different areas where you think, I could combine this with, my industry, and then maybe come up with something interesting.
But something I'm thinking which is made by hand, and so I see the cars frames. They are like a Königsberg.
Yes, Königsberg. Yeah.
So that's a car which is really built by. They have a big waiting list. So that's very interesting. But it's also, for instance, bicycles.
Yeah.
There's the whole industry, industrial bikes, but then there are people are doing bikes by hand.
Yeah. There's a huge
really
bespoke.
So that sort of thing, that could be also interesting because the bikes, they have also nice shapes. And
that's true. Yeah.
For instance,
yesterday we went to the Breguet launch of celebration, and we saw some a watchmaker doing the engine-turned dials in the boutique there. Yeah. And it's always fascinating to see this kind of technology. And thank you with your involvement as well to keep this craftsmanship alive, because this is, I hear it's very hard to find people who want to spend the time to learn, because it needs so much of fine motoric feeling to actually operate these machines, which it looks easy when you see people doing it. But I think if you would sit on this machine yourself, you would see how easy it is to destroy a dial. Yes. So that's fantastic.
So that's, I think that the dial it's a face of the watch. Yeah. And I like that engine journey, which gives a life for it. And it can be very modern or it can be very conservative. Mm-hmm. And with colors, we can create even more conservative or even more. And then there's also options, for instance, we can do the engine turning and we can have a enamel on top of it. Mm-hmm. So we can have a very different type of look and the rendering. And so I think that's very nice. And then there's one thing that nothing will replace that, because when we are doing with these antique machines, we are cutting the metal. Mm-hmm. So the cutting tool creates the shiny surface behind. Yeah. But with laser, it doesn't exist. If you are milling, so every mill has the flat, so the mill is not sharp, so there's always a flat part, so we can't do the tiny things. Mm-hmm. And the mill is turning. Right. Or I know that companies have been trying to block the head and with the CNC machine to cut the metal, but you won't get the same quality because it's vibrating. Yeah. Because you have a cutting tool and then the tool holding so you have a height, the machine, and then the tool is lower. So it's not that rigid. So nothing will replace it.
It's fascinating.
They're trying, though. They're trying because, for instance, Rolex with the 1908, the platinum one, they have engine turn dial, right? But it's all, is it laser or is it stamped? I'm not sure which one.
No, I think it's probably engine turn, but automated, right? It depends on how many they need to create for these. But I think you always see handmade dials when you really look at it in detail. Yep. It's just a quality that is yet unmatched by any other automated.
Yeah, and then comes also the what I'm trying to do also with our watches, that for me it's important to preserve this handcraft, the know-how. So I prefer this, and that's why I've been investing in those machines. So we have a lot of machines. We have 6 people doing engine turning. Yeah. And I prefer this instead of going in another direction and try to do an automatization or to find the way to do it with CNC machine or whatever. So, fantastic. And I prefer this. And there's also the sort of like a charm when you are doing that sort of work. It's not, for me, it's not the final result which counts, but it's the whole thing together which counts.
I think knowing how it's made, who made it, and how the process works enhances so much of the enjoyment of the final product. Yes. So I have done that with a few watch collectors and explained a bit more in detail about saying, do you know this is an enamel dial and how it's being made and what is the success rate of enamel and how hard it is to figure out how it bends in the oven and when it's baked, or a guilloche dial, how easy it is to make a mistake and then you have to throw it away, and how many hours somebody spends to cut it out. And people who didn't know the dials are made like this suddenly looked at their watch and think, my goodness, it becomes so much more precious now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's fantastic that there are still people who put in the care and the time to actually make these things in the traditional way. Because I think there will always be people who appreciate that.
And we must explain.
Yes.
So that, I mean, it's to show the work. That's what I'm trying to do. That show the work which is behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's interesting also that that when we do with hand, it's sort of perfect, but it's not perfect. But this sort of not perfect makes it perfect because it has a soul.
Absolutely.
I always remember that. I'm very bad on those caliber numbers, but I have been some Patek Philippe, their old watches, I mean 50s, I think. The first automatic watch that they made, enamel dial, which is domed, and then they have those minutes dots are like done. They are not printed, but they are inside of the enamels. So it's done with one technique anyway. But
inclusion somehow.
Yeah. And when you look at the watch, it's beautiful. They are beautiful. I mean, the proportions and everything. But I have a couple of those, and when you take the eyeglass and you look at the numbers, the minute dots are off.
Yeah, they're not perfectly aligned.
No, not at all. But it doesn't disturb at all. It looks perfect, and it's funny. And today, when you're doing too perfect, it's losing the. It comes stereo.
Yes, you're actually right. I think it's also when we look at faces and what we consider pretty. It's symmetric, but not 100% symmetric. If it's 100% symmetric, our eyes think, there's something wrong. Yeah. So it's funny. The little imperfection also make it lovable.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's not just respect; it's love. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you like, this is unique. It's special.
Yeah. It's a human being, so same. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we went over.
Yeah,
but